According to two recent polls, Americans are fairly certain of two things. One, they want to bomb Iraq and Syria. And two, they're not crazy about the man ordering the bombings. A Washington Post ABC News poll places American support of the bombings at 71%, and that's up from only 54% just 3 weeks ago. Meanwhile, only 43% of Americans say Mr. Obama is a strong leader, which is the lowest he's ever been on this figure since taking office. Now, in the interest of fairness, we should also note this same poll placed an approval rating of Congress at 15%. So while Obama might lose an election against bombing someone who never attacked us, he could apparently win an election against Congress. So how's that for your 2016 horse race? Haven, you are the military member of the panel. Do you think your commander-in-chief believes this is the right course of action, or is this an attempt to salvage some poll numbers?
I won't speak for him as to whether or not he thinks it's the right course of action. I personally think that there are different avenues we can take would probably have a lasting effect as far as defeating not only ISIS but any other terrorist cell of next month that decides to let their balls drop and come and attack and harass innocent people. But it's funny. First thing I want to point out is the obvious fact that there is definitely false sampling of these polls, because I've never seen an offer to do any of these polls. And if you really look at it, people will be like, oh, well, you know, everybody hates Congress because it's at 15%, but why is everybody voting all the people that they hate so much right back into office? It's like, because the people who are on the polls are not the same people that are going to go vote, and vice versa. So it's like, yes, not a lot of people like him, not a lot of people care for his actions, but Americans are pretty apathetic and they're pretty fucking slow. So ISIS has been cutting people's heads off left and right for months now. Before it was, you know, a couple of white male Western reporters. Saudi Arabia cuts people's head off for shits and giggles. Nobody says anything about that. So it's like, now that it's a little bit flashy and it's a little bit weird and it's hitting people that look like our cousin or our next door neighbor, it's now we want to do something. Now we want to jump. And I think certain powers that be are really trying to placate into our knee-jerk reaction to fight first, instead of taking a minute and assessing what's really going on and how we can really just end these type of attacks and these type of groups in the first place.
Well, I agree a lot with what Heaven says. It is sickening to me that we are just now looking at this as an issue since these beheadings of the Westerners, so to speak. It sickens me what she says, you know, it goes on in Saudi Arabia all the time. And I think we're slow, and we don't get the point. So many of us just simply do not get the point. We hear these sound bites, and that's what we go on. That's what we live our lives on, is these little fucking sound bites, and it's the wrong way to do it, because we're not getting the information that we need, and we're not getting it when we need it. So people are walking around absolutely clueless, and they're trying to make judgments against our president and his actions without having any knowledge of what the situation actually is, or what's going on in the rest of the world, or for that matter, even how the rest of the world views us. Because
and I don't think his actions would be any different from any other president. Mitt Romney is going to do the exact same thing. Hillary Clinton's going to do the exact same thing. So it's like,
agreed.
The nation is tired of Obama doing these things, but it's like, you're not going to get a different guy in 2016. There's going to be another dude in a suit that's going to wear something you don't like and is going to wear the wrong pen that's going to make the same fucking call, because I guarantee you we're going to have yet another group to fucking face. We're going to have yet another terrorist attack, yet another terrorist something that's going to happen, and they're going to drone it, because we've completely removed any type of human sacrifice, which would probably help us to second guess our actions. We've totally written that off and made it calculated and sterile what we're doing. So it's like nothing's going to change. So it's really, I think it's us. We as Americans, we're not paying attention. Anything that takes more than 5 minutes and more than a 30-second scroll through Facebook is way too much of a sacrifice to us. And if we really are sick and tired, if we're really tired of all these things happening, we need to get off our lazy asses and start doing something and start changing things and start raising up our voices to be like, no, this is really not, whether it's drones, a soldier, or fucking whatever Blackwater's calling themselves. We don't want you guys coming in there with violence and accidentally murdering a bunch of innocent people and cultivating more of a problem that we're going to have later.
100%. I fully agree with that. It's just a matter of Americans taking charge. And unfortunately, a lot of folks that would like to be able to take charge can't because they don't have the time. They're working their fucking asses off to try to make a living, to try to put food on the table. It's hard to take an hour out of your life to look and see what the news is going on, what's going on with the news, when you're trying to feed a family and you're trying to take care of your kids and go through the homework and you're working 2 jobs and you're not getting any sleep. It's impossible. So I think some of the apathy of Americans is simply because a large portion of us don't have the time to sit down. And unfortunately, it's those of us who don't have the time, who aren't making the money, that are the ones that need to step up. When the proles revolt, the government will be overturned, so to speak. But will the proles ever be able to rise? Going back to Orwell.
Jules, I don't know that the problem is apathy. I totally get what you're saying, and like I've got a family, I've got kids, I've got a full-time job. I'm in the office right now, but I think the problem isn't apathy as much as it is people having opinions that should only come with putting in the work to get to those opinions. It's not that people don't care; it's that they care very much about what we should do. But what they're apathetic about is researching, and forming those opinions. They're definitely not apathetic about their opinions. And to what Haven said, yeah, this is the simple one. Like that's, if you can't put it in 140 characters or less, bomb ISIS, then, we don't want to do it. We don't want to talk about, some kind of big region-wide plan, maybe, my whole concept of setting a hard and fast perimeter and implementing a Marshall-style plan that actually transforms the region. Like, that's super complicated and incredibly difficult to do, and we can barely pass a farm bill in the United States right now. Mm-hmm. Like, it's pathetic.
Just real quick, I'm not saying that so much the apathy is that I don't think Americans, the people who really need to be paying attention, aren't able to because they don't have the time. They don't have the resources. That's, so yeah, there is some apathy, but there's also a lot of just utter exhaustion.